From kids to adults and a whole variety of animals they interacted with, here are 9 people that fell into animal enclosures at the zoo. Number 9. Jambo and the Boy. In 1986, in the Jersey Zoo in the United Kingdom, a boy named Levon Merritt was watching the gorilla pen when he accidentally fell in somehow, getting knocked unconscious in the process. Unknown to him at the time, his fall was noticed by one of the gorillas, Jambo. The gorilla instantly came to the boy's aid and actually tried to make him feel better, not knowing he was unconscious, by rubbing his back. Then, when his fellow gorillas tried to come closer, Jambo made sure the boy was protected. After a while, Merritt woke up, saw a giant gorilla next to him, and started to cry, which alerted some people that something was very wrong. Sure enough, when rescue workers arrived, Jambo actually made sure all the gorillas gave them a wide enough berth so the boy could be taken away. While it's impossible to know what would have happened to the boy if Jambo hadn't been so protective over him, it's a fair guess to say it might not have had such a happy ending. After Jambo died in 1992, the Jersey Zoo put a statue up in his honor, and his story goes to show that not all gorillas are dangers to humans. Number 8. Maddox Turkish. Sadly, not all encounters that happen in zoo enclosures end well. Such was the case in the Pittsburgh Zoo with a young boy named Maddox Turkish. Him and his mother were at the zoo and looking at the African dog exhibits. They were at the top, overlooking the enclosure, when Maddox rushed out of his mother's arms to get a closer look. He landed on a net that was there to collect belongings that people dropped from above, but he bounced and landed in the exhibit himself. This led to the wild dogs attacking him and killing him before the zoo could send people to help him. What might be the saddest part about this story is what came after. The Turkish family sued the zoo for having such an easy way for their child to get into the enclosure via the wooden railing that he and his mother were at. Then, the zoo countersued the family and noted that it was gross negligence on the count of the mother that led to Maddox's death. The two sides went at it for a while before having a settlement made. Maddox's death was the first in 116-year history of the Pittsburgh Zoo. Number 7. Bindi Joh. Heading to the Brooksfield Zoo in Chicago, Illinois, we got the enclosure of the gorilla known as Bindi Joh. This gorilla was living in an enclosure there back in 1996 when an incredible event happened right before it. A young boy had fallen into the exhibit. He was so eager to see the gorillas that were there that he climbed over the railing and then fell down to the ground. When this happened, Bindi Joh didn't just come over to check on the child, she cradled him in her arms to make sure he was okay. And then, when it was clear to her that something was wrong, she picked him up and took him to the service entrance where she knew the aides of the zoo would be. That's one smart gorilla. And those that watched this event happen live were just as perplexed. Hey yo, she saved him. That gorilla over there saved a boy your age. Zoo visitor Susan Ryan told her son on Tuesday. She picked him up and kept all the other gorillas away. Most agree that the reason Bindi Joh did this was because her maternal instincts kicked in and she knew she had to protect this boy. Number 6. Trying to lion down. Another sad event that happened at a zoo can be found back in 2016. This particular event occurred at the Santiago Metropolitan Zoo in Chile, South America. A man entered the enclosure of a set of lions. Why would he do such an act? It was to commit suicide. This was proven in many ways, not the least of which was that the man took off his clothes when he entered the enclosure and approached the lions. A note was later found in said clothes that also indicated a suicide note. There is a twist in this tale, but it's not a happy one. The aides at the zoo saw this happening and were able to respond to the event. However, that response was them killing both of the lions to make sure that they couldn't kill the man. Due to the circumstances, and to firstly protect the life of this person, we found ourselves obligated to apply all of our security protocols, the zoo statement reads. The zoo said it took the incomprehensible action of killing 2 of its 3 lions, which was profoundly painful for every single one of us. It is also a chilling reminder of what people can do to try to be free from their lives. Number 5. Mandy K. Sometimes, people just do very stupid things for very stupid reasons. And a great example of this was when a woman known as Mandy K went to the Berlin Zoo in Germany and decided that she needed to go and meet the polar bears that were in the enclosure. Polar bears on their own are very dangerous and should not be disturbed. What's more, she went to meet them during their feeding hours. So not only was she reckless, but she picked the absolute worst time to go and get a closer encounter. Upon reaching the polar bears, the bears acted like you would expect. They attacked her. One in particular went and bit her arms and legs, which was apparently a wake-up call for Mandy, who then proceeded to try and escape and was able to push off the bears, which is quite a feat, so that she could reach a wall, get onto a rope, and be pulled back up to the surface by the keepers. Her actions were truly one of stupidity, because she was a mother and a teacher, and not suicidal. She was berated for her actions, including putting many people's lives, including her own, in danger. Number 4. Tilikum. It's very easy to go to SeaWorld and observe the majestic orcas and watch them play with their trainers and go, "I'd love to do that myself one day." You can if you get the training, or you can be like a man in 1999 who decided to sneak into the SeaWorld exhibit to play with the orca known as Tilikum and died as a result. He came during the night when the park was closed, and when the workers came the next morning, the park officials arrived to find the man literally draped across the back of Tilikum. What's more, he wasn't wearing clothes, suggesting that he was trying to show friendship or something like that to keep the whale calm. The irony here is that the whale didn't do much to kill him. Based on the lack of injuries, the whale likely pulled his leg and held him underwater until he drowned. Another irony is that he killed 2 other people, including his trainer at SeaWorld, which is why many people refer to the orcas by their other name, killer whales. Number 3. Rick Swope. You've heard of people falling into animal enclosures and being saved by the animals themselves. But how about a person going into the animal enclosure to save the animal? This is exactly what happened at the Detroit Zoo back in 1990. While many were watching one of the monkey enclosures, a man named Rick Swope, among others, watched helplessly as a chimpanzee started to drown in the enclosure's water pool. The monkey couldn't swim, and Rick knew that something had to be done. Thus, he dove into the enclosure, raced over to the monkey, grabbed it, the chimp weighed about 135 pounds, and swam it to shore. The chimp survived thanks to his actions. What's more, the chimp seemed to understand what Rick was doing and let him do what he needed to do without fighting back. As for Rick, he made it out of the enclosure without an issue and was thanked by the zoo for what he did. Number 2. The woman, the hat, and the tiger. Here is a very curious story of how far someone will go to get an item of clothing that many would see as expendable. This particular incident happened at the Toronto Zoo in Canada, and during one point, a woman had her hat knocked off into the enclosure. She decided to go and get it, causing a big ruckus among the people when she did. The reason for this was that the hat fell into the den of tigers, which are known to be very territorial and are more than willing to go and attack humans when necessary. Sure enough, when she entered the enclosure, the tigers weren't happy, and they wanted to get her. But fortunately for her, they were separated by a fence, so while the tigers could make threatening moves, they couldn't actually reach her. Number 1. The panda. When you think about pop culture and the media in regards to how they show off pandas, you'd think that they're the cutest, kindest, and most adorable creatures in the world. Because of this, many people have tried to get close to pandas over the years, especially at zoos. This is a mistake, especially when you're at the Beijing Zoo with the panda known as Gugu. Gugu is a panda who has no problem messing with people that dare to enter her enclosure. In its history, it's beaten or attacked at least 3 people, including a child who just wanted to hug the black and white bear. Another time, a man didn't mean to interfere with the panda, but rather just wanted to get a toy that had been dropped by a child. When he entered the area, Gugu came right up and bit him on the leg. The panda had to be shooed away by the keepers in order to help the man. He was taken to the hospital and given a rabies shot. Pandas can be adorable, but they are known to be very violent to those who they deem a threat or an annoyance. Thanks for watching. What do you think of these encounters that people had with animals when they fell into their zoo enclosures? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and I'll see you next time. Bye!